Best of thing in it.
I've got a message for Kathleen and Margaret and Tommy. Thank you, Tommy. The people in the kitchen, we would like to say a big thank you to the three of them for the stalwart, the way they've looked after us and continue to do so, and for once I haven't got to wash up. So to say a big hand thank you. Speeches, and I lost. So I can't get my own back if Bernard goes a bit, you know, like he does. But I've made one or two notes, and I wonder how many of you can remember my speech from 40 years ago. Can anybody remember how we started it? Well, you should have done, because it was actually Owen's 22nd birthday. So we sang Happy Birthday. Now, it isn't a birthday today because, of course, we're a week early. But we have a few birthdays. I think we've got... Where's Sheila gone? Sheila sometime this week. She's just had one now, Sheila. Well, I'll have to check my notes here. And I think there's John over. Where's John Bainbridge gone? Is he? So he's got a birthday. Brother John. Brother John. Is he here? He's got a birthday, haven't you, this week?
The 9th.
The 9th. He's just had his... Somebody here say that Ian's had a birthday. Week's Anne's. Where's Anne gone? She's over here. And also on the 28th of March, who was born but Ruth down here? Birthday. So you can choose what name you like and we'll all sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear everybody. Happy birthday to you.
First to Alwyn for not being as romantic as Bernard and Carol.
Steady.
Some of you know that last week they returned to the very hotel in London at which they spent their honeymoon 40 years ago. They went to the hotel, they went out at night, of course, to the theatre. And when they got back to the room at night, Bernard was getting a bit into the swing of things because it was a surprise. He didn't know about it. And so he said to Carol, should we do what we did on our honeymoon? Should we share a bath? Well, you can see she's giggling. So they decided they would share a bath again after 40 years. So they ran the bath water, and soon it was full, and so they climbed into the bath together.
Edward.
And Bernard said,
Just talk right in the mic.
Sorry, and Bernard said, this isn't the same bath. It's a spa bath. Carla said, don't be silly, Bernard. We've been to an Indian restaurant. nothing as windy as that on our honeymoon. The biggest excitement, if I remember, was eating knickerbocker glories at the cafe on the top of the Great Orme in Llandudno. Is that right? I have to ask, you see. And so we began our married life together. And we owe a lot to the success of our life together, to the way we were brought up. So we say thank you to our parents for their example that's still with us today. We remember them with love and gratitude. It isn't the easiest thing, of course, to be married to a Methodist minister. Our first move was to Wales, to a place called Welshpool we'd never heard of. And they couldn't understand a word I said. And if you imagine me trying to give out the notices on a Sunday about what was going to happen at Lansdowne Friday and all the Clackmennach chapels in the area, you can understand what it was like. But we went to Wales. Ollie had no choice. She'd married a minister. Where he went, she had to go. It wasn't easy. Can you imagine how lonely it was when you hadn't travelled away from home much at all in the past? We lived in a little flat on the top floor of a house. And I forgot, how many steps was it? 42 steps from the front door to the top. So when people rang the doorbell, we opened the window and dropped the keys out, for them to open the door to climb up, because it was so hard work going up and down. But the chapel people all gave us a great welcome, although they couldn't understand me. And I can tell you there was some homesickness for the first few weeks and months as we lived there. Many of you came to visit us. We've got one or two photographs of some of you here who actually called in to see us and made life a little bit easy for us when you came to see us. Nigel, of course, was born in Wales, in the land of song. And last week, he proved to us that he could sing when he took one of the lead parts of St. Paul in the musical Wildfire in Darlington. And I have to say that I cried my eyes out. I didn't know he could sing like that. Well, we lived there for 2 years and then we had to move. This time to Workington. And of course, tears were shed all around because by then Welshpool had become home. And it really was. We made some great friends there. Kevin was born in Workington. And I've scratched my head and I can think of no explanation as to why Kevin is like he is because he was born in Workington. There was an occasion when he'd been to Sunday school and Mrs. Forrest, who was the Sunday school teacher down at Central Mission, had been talking to them about how God created everything, especially human beings. And Kevin was really interested in this, especially when she said that Eve was created out of one of Adam's ribs. And later in the week, his mother noticed him lying on the floor groaning, as if he was ill. And she said, "What's the matter?" He said, "I've got a pain in my side, and I think I'm going to have a wife." It's not easy, as I've said, being married to a parson. But it's even harder, I believe, to be brought up as a son of the manse. It's not easy. Too much hot air. And so, you know, they had to leave friends and skills and change skills regularly because we moved on. They were made fun of. It's not easy when your dad's a Holy Joe or even worse expressions. But thanks to Nigel and Kevin, they've always been great. They've always supported us, and I wouldn't change you for any role models for the world. Thank you, both of you. Although I'm not sure I'll say thank you after I see the rest of the... Never mind. I should tell you a little story about Nigel, really. Nigel, you know, is actually a bit of an expert on big words. He could spell every dinosaur when he was about 5 years old. I can't even pronounce them, never mind spell it. And so even when he was quite young, probably younger than that, he came home one night and he said to his mother, Mother, what's a vampire? She said, eat your soup before it curdles. As if any of Alwyn's food would curdle. And she certainly isn't a vampire. It wouldn't be true, would it? In fact, I can't understand, and some of you won't be able to understand, why I'm not 20 stones, because of the food that she puts on so regularly. We've had, of course, in these 40 years, our exciting times. Some of you remember the camp we used to run at Raisbeck for 10 years, 5 years from Workington and 5 years from Liverpool, and all the mad things that we did. And they were mad. We've actually just discovered a few weeks ago a cine film that was made from Workington, and I think this week I found the Liverpool one, and I didn't know that we were as daft as that, but never mind. We've had it put onto video. And then, of course, we had lodgers. The first one sitting here looking at me like this, wondering what I'm going to say about him. Well, we went to school together, and when we moved to Workington in August, beginning of August, beginning of September, his mother rang my mother to say, our Keith's got a job in Workington, do you think your Edward will go around and see him? So of course I did. You have to do as your mother tells you. And that was Keith Barmer who was sitting down here. And I want to tell you just one story about Keith. We had a piano given. And Keith and me would move it one night. So we borrowed a chapel piano trolley. We went to this house, we got this piano on it, we walked down the road, the main street of Workington, through the traffic lights, and the front of the piano fell off and the policeman stood and laughed at us. We got it put back together and we wheeled it right through the park, and as we were going through the park, there were courting couples sitting on seats. And Keith decided he would serenade them. So we walked through the park as Keith played songs on the piano. And he was the first of our mad lodgers, and well, after that we met Maureen and all sorts of people, and we've been friends. We were friends at school, and of course we've continued the friendship, and we're glad he's here tonight. Now I've lost myself here. I wrote it down, then I wouldn't keep going on, but I keep thinking of more stories. Anyway, we were a bit mad, as I've said, and Alwyn has always been a wonderful cook, which is, of course, you know. But I don't think of her just as a wonderful cook. I think of her as a wonderful wife and a mother who has supported and helped and loved me through all these years. Well, the years have rolled by. We moved on from Workington to Liverpool and then to Bishop Auckland. Then we finished up in Weardale, and now we live in Darlington. And things have changed. Now I have to do as she tells me and go where she tells me to go. But you know, marriage of 40 years is a matter of teamwork, a team effort. We worked together, we laughed and cried together. And we meet tonight to share this occasion with you. Because it's because of you, and others like you, who befriended and supported us through all the years that we're here as we are tonight. Since I first moved to Welshpool, we've never been lonely. Because wherever we've been, we've known the friendship and the fellowship of like-minded people in the various churches and chapels and the homes of so many people. We used to sing, God is with us, so our brave forefathers sang. I won't quote much more to him. You can go out and look it up because it has a few twists in it that aren't suitable for the occasion. But God has always been with us. So I want to say thank you to all of you for coming tonight, for all your love and support through the years. And finally, thank you to Alwyn for putting up with me with all my quirks. 40 years ago, the minister asked me this question. He said, wilt thou have this woman till I wed and wife, to live together according to the law of God in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, and keep her, and forsaking all other, keep thee only to her, as long as you both shall live. I answered, I will. And I would do it again, because I still love you.
Right, can you hear me at the back? Yeah, well, I do a few notes here, and my memory isn't as good as it was actually. But as Edward's already said, it's good to see you all here. You're all looking so young and beautiful. I was sitting there looking down thinking how well, most of you haven't changed really at all over the years. Another thing I was remarking to Carol is now how hot I am, absolutely boiling. Are you warming up? And then I realised that I've got a pair of long johns on. I wear long johns to work, and I sort of kept them on. I thought it was going to be a cold, windy night. And somebody said, I said, I think I'll go outside and change them. She said, no, go in the toilets. Right. But as I look around here, many of you will be here on our wedding in this very hall 40 years ago. Not all of you, but quite a lot of you, really. And as I look around, I see one or two young ladies that escaped my clutches. There's one or two men, as well, as I look around, whatever, tells clutches. But it's good anyway, and we do change, our appearances change in 40 years. When I stood here, I stood somewhere down where Nice is there, giving me speech or whatever, and talking, and I was in, and as you saw in the picture, my hair was black or brown or some sort of colour. And now, of course, it's white. It's still there, which is a good thing, but it's white, and in 40 years of marriage does all sorts here, doesn't it? Really. But of course, 40 years of life also does all sorts to you. We all get older. And just talking recently, Carol and I, and Carol just remarked that he said it doesn't seem, 5 minutes since we're married. I said it seems an age to me. I can't really believe myself that 40 years has passed since I stood in this hall. I wasn't very hot, I must admit that, but I remember it was in a snowstorm and I was trembling. I think with the fact that I was going to give me speech and so on. So here we are tonight in what they call the hut. This place is known as the hut. And what a lovely place it is now. I'm not saying it wasn't 40 years ago, but what a marvellous place it is. They've really done a good job here. And after we were married, and we used to come past here quite a lot with our children in, and just look at here, they used to say, we were married in that place. Well, it's like a David house, they said. And what a wonderful place it is now. And as Edward's already said, we... Stretch my thanks. All right. No, sorry. I've done it really, my flex is a bit short. Sorry. Yeah. Forget that. As Edward's already said, we spent our honeymoon in London. And just last weekend, that's what he's already said actually. Just last weekend, Carol and I were privileged to go down to London. We've been in between times on several occasions really, but we had a lovely time, and we stayed at the same hotel as Edward already said, the Bonington. Yeah, in Russell Square. I don't know about the Butler, I think it was a bit of a thing, but... And a wonderful place, it hadn't changed actually, but... And just recently we came across an old postcard at home that we sent back from honeymoon. Changed. Then we moved around last weekend in London, and we did all kinds of things with one or two exceptions. Most of the same things we did 40 years ago. Yeah. But as many of you will know perhaps that I've always suffered from my stomach. I've had a bad stomach. My wife says my stomach's in my head. The problem is actually, I don't know. But and I clearly remember when I was on my honeymoon, the first night, I was taken by a cab in the middle of the night for my stomach. And I also remember quite clearly the following day going to the chemist or whatever. I came out carrying a bottle of aspirin. Those are the days, but you know. But that's all in the past, friend, isn't it? It's all in the past. And we have many wonderful memories of the last 40 years. It hasn't always been easy. As Edward says, marriage isn't always easy. It's not always been easy, and we've had our joys and our sorrows. And there's a little quote that says, happy marriage is a union of two good forgivers. And that's very true, isn't it? A happy marriage is a union of two... I'm really finished, actually, but I'll turn up. And that's very true. So we thank God today that for the love and support of so many people over the past 40 years. As Edward said before, in the early days, our parents were there for us. And they helped us and, you know, did things for us in a tremendous way, really. And tonight I want to thank Carol, especially. Yeah. For the loving, I do actually want to thank you. For loving and supporting me. It hasn't always been easy for her either, because she often says to me, I don't know what you'd do if I wasn't here. I said, I'll just go into a hole or whatever. When we start, I'm diversity, what's the word?
Diversifying, yeah.
Diversifying. when we come to fill the subsidy form into the sheep, it's cattle that fills the forms in. It's cattle that does the VAT. It's cattle that does everything else, you know. I'm very grateful. I really am. She has the brains, you see, and I have the whatever. But it's great. They say, don't they? Is it true? They say behind every good man there's a good woman. Is that wrong? I think that's very true, isn't it? But God has really blessed us through our lives, and we thank God for how He's led us. We thank God for I mentioned our parents before. We thank God for our family. For Richard and Helen, for Johnny and Helen, for Ruth and Neil, and for our 5, which is one of them, mate. This is one of them. He's right at the back of his head. Yeah, we have 5 lovely grandchildren, and we thank God for them. That's tremendous. So Carol and I, along with Owen and Edward, would like to say thank you to you all, and for your good wishes, for the money you've given to these charities and so on, and for being here tonight. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Before we start, you might have some things to say sometimes, so you have to stay awake so you don't miss anything. So, are you quite clear about that? Yeah. Good. So, you ready to listen to this sketch? Oh, you're very, very good. Now we have to be really excited. Whoopee! Exactly. Right, every child, when you're a youngster, like we were once, every child likes to think of his or her parents as superheroes, and the Staley kids and the Watson kids were no exception to this. So tonight I want you to come with us as we journey to a parallel universe, you might call it, and reacquaint ourselves with tonight's happy couples, but in a new disguise, as superheroes. So first of all, to greet you all, we have Super Chef. She whips cream, beats eggs, and batters pesky fish. Super Chef! And joining Super Chef in her adventures tonight is the man who, by day, dons the collar. Here he comes. night reveals his hidden talent. Preacher, minister, maker of the plan. He also keeps you warm. He's central heating repairman. Men's! Fish! Fish! Next in our heroic troupe of superheroes, she's not on loan, but fully accounted for. The one and only cash dispenser woman! Some superheroes, they don't care. They say, oh, what the heck. But cash dispenser woman has great interest, and she'll cash your check. When the moon...
I'm sorry. I don't actually work at the bank anymore. I work in a carpet shop. Could I be carpet girl?
No, you can't be carpet girl. There's no good jokes about carpet.
Yeah, there is. What does a Mexican put under his carpet?
I don't know. What does a Mexican put under his carpet?
Andale!
No, I'm sorry. You have to be cash dispenser woman. And last, but not least, he stands tall and he knows a thing or two about sheep. It's Bernard.
I'll just go and move them sheep. Bernard! Come here.
Now, 40 years ago, our heroes here made solemn promises to each other.
I promise that from this day forward, I will boil and brisk, salad and souffle, boil and mix from this day forward until indigestion gets the better of it.
My faulty pipes are your faulty pipes. May all our drafts be excluded. Our temperature kept even. And may the day of saying the old boiler's habit never come. So long as I continue to enjoy ripping up floorboards and saying, oh no!
In you, I invest a great bond. I promise to keep my interest rate reasonable, and I'll never allow my feelings to become overdrawn. In you, I will deposit my trust and ensure that ours is a 0% regret relationship. I'll just go and move them sheep.
And so for 40 years after that historic week, our superheroes continued together in sunshine.
That's a good point.
The preparation of the props helps, doesn't it?
In sunshine.
Sunshine.
And in rain.
The best hat.
In laughter. And in tears. And eventually, the day of the Ruby wedding celebration arrived. But all was not as it should be.
No! Don't light any matches. I can smell gas.
Bernard! I'll just go and get some bicarb.
As Bernard shuffled off to get some bicarb and move them sheep, it occurred to the rest of the gang that something wasn't right. And they ought to do something about about it.
Something's not right.
I think we ought to do something about it. I just tasted those eggs, and they taste really terrible.
Well, don't blame me, I only laid the table.
I've just looked in my soup and there's a frog in there.
I can explain that. The fly's on holiday.
Well, why have I just found a fly in my ice cream?
Maybe it likes winter sports.
There was a twig in my soup. That sounds like a problem for the branch manager.
Did you remember to bring asparagus?
I didn't think we served sparrows, so my name's not Gus.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
You wrote it. This coffee tastes like soap.
Ah, well, that'll be the tea. Coffee tastes like glue.
Well, this isn't right. Super Chef always makes the best food around. There are no frogs in soup or coffee that tastes like glue. And everyone knows that her fairy cakes are the lightest anywhere.
Paraffin will do that.
Somebody is clearly trying to sabotage things.
Oh, no!
Pam, pam, pam!
But who would do such a dastardly deed? Who would steal a salad? Who would tamper with the trifle?
No. I'm not really actually sure about that line, see, because, well, trifle's dangerous stuff, yeah? Yeah, 'cause I knew this fella once, and he fell over, and at a buffet thing, he fell over, he got custard in one ear, he got jelly in the other. He was a trifle deaf.
Would you mind not interrupting me? I'm here for the food and to see these lovely people.
That's not what you said in the car.
Not to listen to your bad jokes. Anyway, it should be pretty clear to all of you that the saboteur is someone here in this room.
Let's go and see. Down in the kitchen.
A glass engraved bowl?
In the kitchen?
Oh, no! Pam, pam, pam!
Ah, and so, with the discovery of the glass engraved bowl, the finger of suspicion turned to another, to a man who was only a little boy in 1964, when he attended 2 wedding ceremonies in 2 weeks.
Now then, I must ask you, if you can get to it, to step up here first of all. Yeah, come on, come up here, we need you up here. Come on, encourage him, he's coming. If you can get it, though.
Get it, right. Maybe another 40 years.
Now then, Lawrence Staley.
Yes.
Is there any reason that you can think of why you may not have wanted to go to a wedding 40 years ago?
Give us a clue.
I don't think you need a clue. What would you rather have been doing?
Watching Doctor Who.
Aha! A motive, right. Well, in that case, now listen. Have a little, you all just move over there. Have a little seat here. Yeah, have a little seat there, that'll do the job. All right. I think we can clear this all up. No more sabotage. There we go. There you go. Well, unfortunately, I didn't want to scare everybody else. Because there are not enough chairs to hide behind. Well, unfortunately, the original doesn't exist anymore.
No.
However, it does exist in audio form with a little narration, so you can catch up. The episodes you missed were from Marco Polo, and there you go, that's it.
And so with Lawrence finally able to catch up on those lost episodes of Doctor Who, all was well once again, and the Fab Four found themselves in a mood of contemplation.
Do you think, as the years go by, you become a warmer kind of person?
I think you learn to appreciate life's taste more.
If pushed. I think I know what my current account of life would be. The more you put in, the more you get out. We put a lot in. What do you think, Bernard?
I'll just go on with them shit.
It's your turn now.
First. Oh, you're playing. It's Lewis, well, a man of whom it's often been said, though he says he was in bed asleep at the time, Mr. Lewis Staley and Ruth, give it up. Oh. Yeah.
There's a better build here, but it's more scary. Real scary. Lost me notes already, haven't I? Yeah. Well, it's not a thing I'm just saying because you say it, but it is a joy to be here at this celebration with my brother and sister and their partners, and especially to see all you good people. I was asked to just share a few words tonight. And being the elder brother, I might as well say it because Bernard says it for us many and many a time. He's gone a bit quiet lately. But just to say a few words, and I was asked to keep it short, so it's as short as that bit of paper. All right, and then Ruth's going to sing us something. But thinking about what I might say, it's been all right so far for the couples to well done, well said, talk about the partners, but when there's the two of them, it's a little bit difficult just now, because if I say kind things about one and not the other, you understand, as we sometimes say at our house, there might be tears. You know what kind of tears I mean. So I'm just going to have to leave you to guess, if I can do it right, which ones I might be talking about. Okay. I don't know whether you heard about one of them getting pulled up by a police car. Now whether it was Edward or Bernard, I know Bernard has been pulled up on his motorbike years ago. We'll not say no more about that. Sunderland. After being seen a young lady, I'm saying more about it. Or in Carolina. But this was on the M25 actually, and a policeman pulled a certain gentleman over, and he was on the M25 doing 25 mile an hour in the fast lane, and the policeman said, "What do you think you're doing?" Well, he said, "I'm on the M25. And then the policeman noticed the lady sat in the passenger seat and said, "By that lady looks ill. Is she all right?" "Yeah," he said, "we've just come off the B137. Now, for diplomatic reasons and maybe legal reasons, my next story tells you about a shopping expedition. I don't know whether I should really tell you this. What do you think? Are you sure? Yeah, well, it was, whether it was Carol and Bernard and Jonathan, or whether it was Owen and Edward and Kevin, I just seem to forget. But anyway, they were on this shopping expedition in a big store, and the lady in the team, as ladies do, when they got there, off she went shopping, and the man and his son, as I'm wont to do at times, just wandered around a bit and I looked at the structure and everything else, and they noticed Bernard and Johnny, or was it Edward and Kevin, noticed this big contraption of a place. I think Edward would have maybe known better. I think Bernard would have known better. But noticed this big contraption of a place, and as they stood and watched, there was a very elderly lady came along in a wheelchair and drove up and gets a stick out and pokes a button, and the door opened and in she went and disappeared. And as they watched, not long after that, the door opened again and out popped a blonde, beautiful young lady and wandered off. And Johnny said to Bernard, or was it Kevin, said to Edward, "Wow, what a change, what a change. Never seen anything like that before." And Bernard said, or was it Edward said, "Quick lad, go and get the mother." The upshot of that is that we all would like to change one another. I heard someone say, asked if he'd ever thought of divorce. He said, "Never. No, never. Murder many a time." Then actually I know a certain person, and I've heard him say it on video actually, when asked if he and his wife had ever had a row, they looked at each other and said, "No, we've never had a row, but we have had through life some moments of intense fellowship." And so as we've listened and heard a bit and learnt a bit tonight, follow that. What can we say? You know, I was saying at the table there, remembering a preacher come to Eggleston years ago by the name of Eddie Brewer, talking of John on the Isle of Patmos, and he put it like this. He said, "Time had left its mark. This old man was now a hewer of marble in the quarries." And as a young person myself, I always remember those words, time had left its mark. And time leaves its mark on each one of us. But it is good to just be here tonight and see each other and be an encouragement one to another. And yes, we've already said there's been a lot of changes. We've all changed. But being the preacher and the evangelist that I am, I cannot just leave or finish these two remarks by saying we're talking about change, talking about preparation. Ruth's going to sing a song just now about preparation, about being ready. And you all know the score, that we've got to prepare to meet our God, that we've got to be ready. The Lord challenged me a long time ago about sharing the gospel, not just on Sunday, as many of us think it should be done, but sharing the gospel at work or wherever I am, and that I try to do. But the Lord also challenged me about sharing it with my relatives, and that's the hardest bunch to share your Christian faith with. But I'm doing it tonight, lest any of you should be left out. So over to you, Ruth. What have you got for us?
Can everybody switch me?
Yes, well, hi.
Was the snow, and everybody having to dig snow away from the chapel and so that we get into the church. and a lot of creases in bridesmaids' dresses. I think we've got some echo on. Somebody's been twiddling. Bigger boys like to twiddle. Big boys like to twiddle. And the thing I remember about Olwen and Edward's wedding was being responsible for the flowering. And as I am, you know, I liked everything perfect. And I did do then more than I do now. And Olwen had chosen tulips, and I got all these books out of the library how to arrange them. And I wired them all, you know, did it all really well, I thought. And then the next day when we went into the wedding, they were all... and I was so disappointed, but it was a lovely wedding, both of them were. And this song's called Wedding Music. Thank you. When it gets here, it's coming. Don't twiddle me. It goes quietly, alright. Okay. Is that wedding music I hear? The bride adorned and ready to appear. There's been a lot of
thought, those of you who don't know James Law, you've been pointed out once before, they're under suspicion now, off the hook it would seem. He was, I believe, Edward's best man at Owen Edward's wedding, and he's going to sing a song, I think, for us now.
Well, it would be nice to acknowledge the fellowship that we had during the years. I remember the night that we began courting together. It was a twosome. Some of you remember the Eggleston party. Well, I went and travelled rather too far one night. And Edward got his eye on this real bonny lass. I must confess, I got my eye on another as well. He says, I'll have that. And I said, all right, I've got another. We travelled many, many miles together. The only snag was, his was at Eggleston, mine was at Middleton. He said, drop me off and I had to wait for him coming back. Sometimes into the morning. I remember one day, well, one night, it was when the sheep sales were at Kendal and the boss said, we'll have you up soon in the morning. And I said, what time do you want to see you then? Well, it says we're to be at Kendal at 6 o'clock and we'll have to be milk before we go. Can't be here before 4 o'clock. Oh, wait, I said, aye, all right. I didn't work out courting that night. This will take a bit of doing. Anyway, I can remember coming back and I looked at the clock, I thought, oh, I look another beginning to do it. She said, my God, there's no rain this morning. How did your Majesty get out? I never told him I didn't bother to get into bed. That's, I just thought I all went tonight. I was putting my breeches on. I must have on for a bit and I had to go and fit the belt. They weren't fit. I was just slim a bit. I thought, well, by, he knew what he was doing. Did that, Edward? He got a coup. If I ever thought I'd like to get wise at the time. Could have swapped an hour like. Swapped me out a bit. Anyway, I come across this recitation just before I see the man. It's about, well, it's about a cook. Now, I call my wife a near enough cook. She doesn't need a recipe or to look at the book. She never bothers to weigh out any of the stuff. Just says it'll do for her if it's near enough. She never uses a measure or gives out a test. Just bangs it up and hopes for the best. No matter if mixture's smooth or rough, it'll be all right if it's near enough. She never uses her scales or measures out big weight. Says it'll do for me if it looks all right. Doesn't need a clock to see if the oven's hot enough, but just seems to know when it's near enough. Now in her own kitchen she says she's the boss. She can make out the ease. She's never to lose. And in her own way she's happy. We're saying it'll do. It's near enough. Now, often you'd think, with her acting like this, that all my wife's, this is Edward talking, all my wife's cooking would be just hit or miss. But it's funny to say, though it's true enough, as it all turns out perfect. Well, nearly enough. I know there's something more in the cook in the bond that kept them together all these years, and you know what the love. The greatest thing there is, but so lovely that there is a love that's so thanks beyond all that. And I know that through the years that lovely bond has kept them together. And thinking of the Easter, the love that God had for us, and the sacrifice that was given, a love that gave its self. Self-giving love, and that's what this song is all about. Thank you. What kind of love is this? The love that's self for me. I am the guilty one, yet I go free. What kind of love is this? A love I'd never known. I didn't even know his name. What kind of love is this? What kind of man is this who died in agony? He who had done no wrong was crucified for me. What kind of man is this who laid aside his throne that I may know the love of God? What kind of man is this? By grace I have been saved. It is the gift of God, testing me to be his son. Such is his love, no eye has ever seen, no ear has ever heard, nor hath the heart of man conceived. What kind of love is this?
Wedding presents. Could have been written about a wedding 40 years ago. When my favourite niece got married, Yannock Day in July, odd family were invited, and I had a right good cry. The reception was at Bridge Hotel, because that is done today, and everything went off Barrow Wheel in a superior sort of way. The presents were all there to see, and gracious, what a lot. A television set, a washer up, a teapot that keeps hot, a bedroom suite with nice twin beds. It seems to be the fashion, with bodied quilts and blankets blue, and pillows like a cushion. Fancy having twin beds, thinks I to myself. Very modern. Double bed did in Grandma's day, summer and winter as well. I reckon now to these stylish ways. And I said so, being bound. Those two are fashioned to sleep in, young, was all that I got told. There was everything modern from A to Z, though never saw such a show. The present that she asked me for was a big brass jug, the nurse. Where they went on honeymoon, I think they went to Devon. Wherever it was, they were happy and all would seem like heaven. Whilst they were gone, I cleaned the house and put the presents right. I wanted them to come back home to all things clean and bright. So, leaving them to help themselves for at least 5 months or more, I heard no more about them till a knock came at the door. A Christmas card, a letter with best wishes all to do, and could I let them know we had big brass jug at getting to? I sat down then and there and wrote them, Luke into the bed. Best wishes for the future. I'll double yan instead.
I feel like birthday cake was getting shortened. It's a bit like London playing this, isn't it? Not quite as good, but it has to be. It might not be now, after we've got them. Anyway, what we're going to do, Anne's going to sing a couple of solos, I think. I'm going to short one first, and I'll say a few words, not be long. And then she'll sing another one. So is that all right, Anne? I'll keep hand over to you a minute.
Get back, Anne, back to the back. Hold your hand up.
much, right. Well, I was just thinking how it's going to be. It's been a very eventful week, as this really. It was our wedding anniversary on the 18th, which was 3 days since, I think Wednesday. But I was 3 years behind Bernard. I was always a bit behind him. You're certainly one step ahead of me.
You're right.
So it's 3 years, so we've been married 40 years. And also this week, what has also taken a bit, our Rachel, as maybe you already know, had a baby girl on Tuesday. And also I think I must mention that Doreen and Alan have been over and grandparents again. Joanne's had it, is that right, Alan, isn't it? Joanne's got a little boy. I think the same day probably. So it's been quite an eventful week. Besides, come here to celebrate the 40 years marriage with Bernard and Carol, and is that switched off?
Okay, give it on.
Yeah, right on. Can you hear me? You celebrated this. It's a wonderful achievement. The love we find in marriage is something that is a wonderful thing. It's a thing that we need to cherish, you know. And also, I believe a happy marriage also means a happy family, doesn't it? And we've seen this in the lives of these 4 people, and in the lives of many of us. We've known that so much happiness, and as our brothers and sisters, you know, our long family I'm speaking of now, we've always been very close and always been there for one another. And that's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Something we need to cherish, I believe, in this modern age we should live, to be able to have our families. In a situation like this, we can have all these wonderful people around us to celebrate this special occasion. Of course, when I was married, when Bernard was married, and Carol, I should say, and all we had with I was going over the top to see Anne at that time, 1964. And I know, I think maybe Bernard once said to me, as soon as I was getting married, I said, well, Anne's a bit younger than me, I'll have to wait until she catches up a bit with me. Because she's a lot bit younger than that, so I started. Well, I was a bit older, she was a bit younger, so I had to sort of wait a bit, but never mind. And also remember, when people in this area, sorry? People in this area always say about, he's gone over the west. That's the thing they say around Barney and around Eggleston and all around there. I don't know why. I think they still do it, don't they? He's gone over the west. Well, I went over the west. Pardon? The only went over the west. Edward came from over the west. But we just thankful tonight, and we're thankful that these people have got together and they have lived such a happy life. Now, Bernard said to me once or twice, he said, what's the trail we have there for? Well, that's the evidence. Sitting down here. I think it's worthwhile, isn't it? Yeah. But, and I remember saying to Bernard, I said, there's a note over here. Sorry, Carol. But never mind, there was one and Bernard found Carol, and that's, we're very pleased. I remember, I think, one of the first times that, I'm right in saying, I might be wrong here, that Bernard and Carol got together was somewhere down the road here, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
In the telephone kiosk. Somewhere, I was squeezing it in the telephone kiosk tonight. Joyce down there. I don't know so much about it, long hell they fired away, but it must have happened sometime. And I just want to mention in passing, it's getting on a bit down, isn't it? Just mention in passing, I hope the Edward I should say, and Bernard didn't make the same mistake as I did on my wedding night. You've heard this before, haven't you? And I can't understand why on earth it happened, how it happened. But when I went to our hotel at night and was undressing as we usually do, like, and put my pyjamas on and I suddenly realised I had 2 pair of underpants on. It's true, is that? I'll never know why. This day, how it happened. This never happened since. I don't know it never happened again. But every time two strange things don't. No, there's all sorts of strange things happen. I think Edward and James one night travelled over the top, is that right? James, isn't it? You were Carl Boyle, did it one night. And I was about, you remember the radiator boiled, no water, and you had some pair of winners with you. And you went down to the vet, Well, little Ned then, fill the radiator with water. You can't do that.
I can remember,
And if I made you...
because James was supposed to be asleep on back seat, he wasn't. Maybe you get my feet wet.
So you got to work me by Willie.
So there's always been a lot of things that happen like that. And just, last of all, I want to say, thinking about that young, we've always discussed, we were saddened at one point by the death of our other brother Barry. It's sad that he couldn't have been here tonight. But these things don't happen, all the tragedies happen in life. And, but Andy Alwyn has always been our favourite sister, well, there's only one. We've always thought a lot of her, and as the years have passed by, I think we've become even closer. And as tonight, I was thinking before, we've had a good feed, haven't we? Haven't we? Yeah. But he wasn't always like that. He wasn't always like that. And these, Vernon and Lewis, remember here, when we went to very old, and our parents went to Barnet Castle, this was a rule nowadays, used to go to Barney on a Wednesday. Everybody went to Barney on a Wednesday to get the shopping. Of course they went and they left us, we must have been on holiday or something, I don't know where we were home anyway. And all we would bake some chocolate crispies. You remember?
No,
you make these crispies for us. Well, I don't know what the matter, but they weren't right somewhere. We ate them, didn't we? Gravy. And we were really, really bad. So I just hope tonight that I'll give you one day with it. But I mean, we were all very proud of Andy Alwyn, what she's achieved in the catering sense. And we're proud, very proud in the sense of all our family. And it's a wonderful thing, is our family life. And so, I don't want to say any more, but just a good marriage means pulling together. And we thank God, I'm sure, for they do right tonight, as Glenn and Carolyn and Owen Edward, for the way that God has guided their life and the things they've achieved in the past 40 years. And we pray that they regard, I want to say, the next 40. It's maybe rather wishful think that, isn't it? You won't manage with the 40, will you?
No,
you never know. Anyway, thank you very much, and we wish you all the best in the future. Thank you.
I remember when our Matthew got married, Colin and the birds from a wedding card. The sentence I sing, that in marriage, we should remember to tell one another each and every day that we love them. This song is called I Love You,
You're always there to lend a helping hand in And we've got one more.